tricks that I have, okay? Okay, so now we're going to go to the board and I'm going to start to show you a few special tricks that I used, or at least in the beginning I used to try to overcome my lack of draftsmanship. One of the things that I was really struck by Bruce and how he approached things was the fact that he would literally start to say from the beginning, well, let's just draw a box. He said, let's draw a box. And then he would say, oh, let's put it on a box. And he would just sit there and sort of, say, all right, let's have that. Because what he was really doing was he was letting me understand that shapes, that lines can create the illusion of form, because that's the first part in making it believable in your mind. You have to believe that that it has some kind of volume to it. He would even then go to the next point and say, okay, see, here's the perspective. And I didn't know anything about perspective. I probably still don't know anything about perspective, but at least I think that I understand it enough that I can apply it, and it seems to be more believable. He might then go into the aspect and say that if here's a light coming this direction here, then this is going to be shadows over here. And then all of a sudden you can say that there's a more form to it. But then he would go beyond that. He would sit there and cut a hole in it like this. And then he would say that there's another hole over here to the other side. And all of a sudden, of course, this was shadow here, but all of a sudden you had a sense that you could take an object and go straight through it, like a pipe or something like this. And you could go straight through it like that. And these are just lines. There's nothing more than they are. It's an illusion of creating something that is actually volumetric, that has some sense of space and weight and density. And so it got me very excited that, oh wow, I could start to do this, I'm going to add another. Okay, so then he would go take to the next level. He would go to, what if I do something like just take a squiggly line like this and go like this? And he would say, well, just take it like this. And I'd go like, what? What are you talking about? And all of a sudden I realized what he was doing. He was creating the shapes. He was creating like a cloth material by using these lines. And I think that from the very get-go, I started to realize the power of the line, that the line itself applied in just a certain, almost like a cook would go in and make a souffle or a cake. You have flour, you have butter, you have eggs, you have salt. These are all recipes. And in most cases, there's only like 5 or 10 main elements that you put into any kind of a food besides the main object, whether it's a beef or chicken or something. But when I started to realize that you could build a library of these illusions, these symbols. There's an author named Jung, I think it's Carl Jung, who wrote a book, Man and His Symbols, in the 1960s, which I was really fascinated about because he was talking about the symbolisms of Pepsi-Cola sign, the logos, or even the swastika, or Disney, or any kind of logo you can think of that everybody thinks, like, oh, I know what that is. You see a shell sign, oh, that's a shell. It doesn't even have to see the name, but the symbol, the graphic symbol, is that powerful that you can get, that it really creates something. So then what he would do is he would go into it even further. I'm just going to go over this again. And he started to show me that, for instance, that you could have something that has weight to it, that you can have like an object that has, like a gourd, for instance. Say, imagine you have a gourd like this. That feels like weight, you see. And it's just an illusion because it's just sitting there on a table, but it has weight because of this shape over here, you see. This curve here gives something a sense that there's volume within it that's going out. So when you start to learn to draw, you don't want to get into I have to get all these folds